Hello. My bad. I'm a little bit late. I didn't even clean up my office. I got my broke behind tripod stand. Y'all, I bought this tripod and I want to say it lasted me a good month, maybe a good month. But anyway, I'm here. Happy Wednesday, happy hump day. It's the last Wednesday of the month, and this is when I do a live Q&A with everybody, open to the public. Just so you know, I do a live Q&A every week in the Quick Commuting Academy. So for my full access Academy members, they get to come by and like hang out with me and ask me questions every single week. So if you like hanging out, you can join the full access community and we can hang out every week. But I'm here to answer questions. I'm here to answer questions about working remotely. I'm here to answer questions about travel. I'm here to answer questions about workations, Tulsa, my new luggage that I just ordered. I also share, if you follow me on Instagram, I share a lot. I am getting my house ready to rent out. So questions about that. I'm here to answer any questions that anybody has. Hi, Lindsay. Hi, Jory. Or is it your last name, first name on here? Let me know. Let me shoot out a note to my community to let them know that I am live and they can come kick it. In the meantime, how to navigate? Oh, it's a good one. Martisha, that's a really good question. That is a really good question. Let me answer it. Hold on a second. Let me just let everybody know on YouTube right now doing a Q&A. Come through. Let me drop that in the community real fast. Okay. So let's answer this question because I think it's a great question. Martisha, it's an excellent question. All your questions are excellent. How to navigate in-office culture as the only fully remote employee when the key communications from on-site meetings do not funnel to you. So hybrid workplaces can be challenging. Just because you've got people that are in the office and you've got people that are not in the office. In your case, you're specifically the only one. So your question is very, very specific. So before I answer your very specific question, I do want to address most workplaces aren't like that. Most workplaces are not only one person is remote. Most hybrid workplaces are part of your workforce is remote and part of your workforce is not, right? And so there are some benefits that some people have from being on site, especially if the higher ups, especially if the bosses and the supervisors are on site, right? Because they get to be in their face. And quite honestly, and quite unfortunately, a lot of the time, people think the folks that are there longer are doing the most work, if that makes sense, right? The people that are in their face longer or doing FaceTime longer are doing the most work. And so it's really up to you to make sure you are visible in other ways. Right. And so your question is not about navigating office culture. Your question is truly about the communications getting funneled to you. How do you address that? Right. Because in general, the culture isn't the challenge. It's that you've got to work harder to own your level of visibility when you're off site. If you are the only person that's remote, that comes with a whole different set of challenges, right? That comes with challenges of communication, people not considering you, right? You being out of sight, out of mind. But it also comes with a bit of angst because your fellow employees are jealous, are likely jealous of you, right? And so it's tough to have allies in a situation where everyone else is jealous of your situation or resentful of your situation because they don't have that situation. So there's layers to kind of what I assume you are dealing with, given you are, again, the only. And most hybrid workforces are not like that. It's not like there's only one person. And so, yeah. I wish Deetra was here. Deetra is the person that I co-founded the Quick Commuting Conference with, which I'll mention in just a second. And she is an HR strategist, right? Because she would tell you to start documenting that stuff and talk to HR about that. I'll be honest with you. Your boss or the supervisor or whoever approved you working remotely should deal with that because it's not your fault, right? If they've got a problem with the fact that they're not working remotely, that's a conversation they need to have with someone above you. It's not your fault that you asked for something and you were given it, right? And they should not have put you in that position. And if they're going to allow you to work remotely, quite frankly, if I was an employee there, my frustration would be, so what's the policy? If she gets this, what hurdles do we need to jump to get it as well, right? Even if my performance isn't what hers is, like say she's working remotely because her performance is this, that, and the other thing, and create a policy that makes this attainable for me. But that's not Martisha's problem. That is a problem of management, right? And so you can't be penalized for asking for what you needed and being granted it by your supervisors or your superiors. And so really, it's on them to manage that. It's on them to manage any negative blowback that you're getting. It's on you to focus on your career and focus on making sure that you're getting the visibility. So if you're not getting key communications, then you need to have the conversations with the people that own those communications from a standpoint of, hey, I want to be helpful, I want to be valuable, but it's important that, in these meetings, these communications are funneled to me. And if their response is, well, it would be if you were here. Well, the truth is I'm not, right? So this is the situation that we are in. The situation that we are in is that I don't work in the office. And so based on that, here's what we need to do to make sure that I'm included, right? So they can't keep working from a version of your participation that doesn't exist anymore, right? So they can't work from an old version. Their version is outdated, and they can't work from that version anymore. We are now in a new version where I don't work in their office. So let's talk about how we work together. And if you can have those conversations with those people in an amicable and diplomatic way, and you still don't see any changes, then it's time to go to the next person up, right? That's when it's time to go say, let me go talk to the manager, or let me speak to my supervisor, because I'm being penalized, I'm being targeted for something that has nothing to do with me. This has nothing to do with you. It has everything to do with the gap between what they want and what they have. And you don't own that gap. They do. They do, and their supervisor does, right? So I'm sorry that you're dealing with that. But this is not your fault, not your problem. And I think what you do is focus on what you can control. You can control mentioning this, discussing it, talking about how we get past it. So I have this problem, and these are some of the things I think are the solution, right? The problem is I'm missing key communications. Here's what I'd love to happen. Are there any other suggestions, or does that sound feasible and reasonable, right? And then everything else, it's above me now. It's above me now. Do y'all agree with that? Does anybody else have anything else to add to that? Because, Martisha, your situation versus a hybrid situation is very different. So I work in a hybrid environment. And what's funny is it never really occurred to me that it was hybrid until post-pandemic. But the company I work for, I've always worked remotely, and so have several of my other coworkers, because we hire people around the US, but our main office is in Atlanta. And so we do have people that come into the Atlanta office, and some people are required to come into the office, quite frankly. A lot of times it's newer people, or people who haven't shown or have shown that they need a little bit more supervision and accountability. They have to be in the office. And we've been pretty good about managing that hybrid relationship from a standpoint of, we just all want to get work done, which is what I love about where I work. Like, we focus on results. We don't focus on politics. We don't focus on, who's here, who's there, who's online longest, who's never showing that they're away. Like, one of the things I absolutely love and appreciate about where I work is we focus on results. Like, nobody cares if I leave my desk in the middle of the day. They don't even know if I leave my desk in the middle of the day. I actually left today to go get an eye exam, and I don't even think I told anybody. No, I didn't tell anyone. I went to go get an eye exam. And I didn't even tell anybody. I think a couple of weeks ago, I went to go get an oil change. Like, I don't tell people when I leave my desk. No one knows, unless I'm going to be gone half the day. Like, I don't tell anybody that I'm leaving. They don't need to know where I am at every minute of the day. And one of the things I love about that is nobody's checking for me. Nobody's checking for the minutes that I'm online and things like that. What we care about is results. And so I wish that for everybody, you know what I mean? But it can be tough in hybrid situations where people are like, well, because I'm in the office, I get to talk to our boss most often. And when it comes time for promotions and raises, he remembers me. He's thinking about me because I'm in his face. And so for any of you watching this that are in a hybrid situation or that just work remotely and want to figure out how to manage your career, you are just going to have to take a little bit more ownership of being visible. So if you don't currently have one-to-ones with your boss or your mentor or your supervisor, it's not on them to own those. It's on you. Your career is yours. So schedule those one-to-ones. And in those one-to-ones, talk about two things. Talk about three things. Talk about the wonderful things that you're doing, right? Talk about the great work that you're doing, the things that you've accomplished. Talk about the things that you're concerned about or have questions about. It don't even have to be bad. It could just be, I'm curious, how are we approaching this problem as a company? Or I'm curious, what is our strategy for XYZ as a company, right? Talk about the things you've accomplished, right? Talk about the things you're curious about. And 3, talk about what your plans and goals are. Always talk about what your plans and goals are with your boss and your mentor. You have to do that. It is no one else's job to manage your career. If you want a promotion, you don't sit around and wait for that, right? You go and have the conversation. This is what I hope to reach. I hope to get to this point by X date. What do I need to do to get there? And then have regular check-ins about, are you tracking to that? And you tell them, like, you told me I need to do this, this, and this. This is what I've been doing. Am I on base, right? So if you feel like because I'm remote, I'm concerned about my career growth, I'm going to push this back to you and say, whether you're remote or not, your career growth is something you own. If you don't have one-to-ones with your supervisor, your boss, schedule them. They can be monthly, they can be bi-weekly, whatever the case may be. They are on you to schedule. I don't care if they haven't done it. You do it. It's not their job. 2, if you don't get evaluations, ask for feedback. Ask for feedback from your peers. Ask for feedback from your the people that you work for and with. Ask for feedback. You need to know where you stand. So even if your company doesn't do a formal evaluation process, ask for some freaking feedback. And then whoever you ask for that feedback from, follow up with them later. My company was fully remote. Then they decided to categorize departments for hybrid versus fully remote. It was a mess at first. Then people decided to leave and make the best decision of it. I think a lot of companies did that. Now, I will say, at some companies, there are departments that need to be on site, right? I know that sounds crazy for me to say, but there are departments that need to be on site. Let me give you an example. Starbucks, right? So Starbucks ended up having to go remote as a result of the pandemic, and they were not a remote organization at all before that. And it made sense for their tech teams to continue to be remote, right? You know what doesn't make sense? The people who work on creating their coffee blends, right? The people that work on, putting together the actual formulas for their coffees, like the people, I guess the coffee chefs is what I'll call them. But like, could you imagine having those big ass machines in your house? Those big behind Starbucks machines in your house trying to figure out the different blends of coffee and stuff like that. Like those folks, sure, they need to be in an office. And so I think for a lot of companies, when they're thinking through, who should be on site and who should be remote, some of those things actually do make sense. It actually does make sense for some of these groups to be on site. I think the teams who do a lot of the mock-ups and things like that, if they're working together on like whiteboarding and stuff, sure, there are whiteboarding tools that you can do online, but sometimes you just need to stand next to a person and draw something on a board. So I get, wanting those folks to come into the office from time to time. So I think there are some places where it makes sense. And then I also don't begrudge a company making a decision for itself. So if a company makes the decision to go back into the office, if that's what you think is best for you guys, then do that. If you think hybrid is best for you guys, then do that. I think what I have a problem with is when companies make a decision out of ignorance about remote work, right? They assume their people aren't being productive, which is not true. Studies have shown for the last 10, 15 years that remote employees are actually more productive than employees in an office. It's been showing that since before the pandemic. Like, these are stats that have been around for a long time. So companies that decide to go back into the office because they assume people aren't being productive, and companies that decide to go back into the office because they don't want to do the work to support people remotely. I mean, that's what it really is for a lot of companies. Like, they don't want to do the work to make sure people are supported, and they don't trust their employees. So like, if we have decided that as an organization we value being in person, that's totally different than, I just don't think people are productive remotely. Exactly. Slackers gonna slack, whether they do it at home or whether they do it in an office. And the truth is, remote work uncovering who those people are actually did a lot of companies a favor. You want the people that are not producing to be exposed. That's what you want. You want the people that are just riding the waves and sitting at their desks not doing anything. You want them exposed. And that's a great thing about remote work. It really kind of shows you who's working and who's not. And even better, it really showed people who were good managers and who weren't. Because there's a lot of managers that don't actually manage people for real. Like, they're not developing people. They're not managing processes. They're just kind of going through the motions. Are there remote work positions that are less 9 to 5, but more timeline project based? Yeah, of course. Of course there are. There's all kinds of remote jobs. So let me say this. There are all kinds of remote jobs, literally all kinds of remote jobs out there. Whether you're talking about wanting to work 9 to 5, where you're talking about wanting to work at night, where you're talking about wanting to work part-time and things like that. So I will say the type of work that doesn't require you to constantly meet with people is probably your non-9 to 5 stuff, like technical writing, software testing, things like that. Doesn't necessarily require you to be 9 to 5, unless you have to like be in meetings and stuff. But the real unlock, the magical unlock, is freelancing. Freelancing is a magical unlock because you own your time. And we just did this whole series about being a virtual assistant, and doing instructional design and quite a few different things that you can do as a freelancer. But a lot of those things that you can do freelance, and you can do almost anything as a freelancer, allows you to define what your work time is, right? And so if you work remotely as an operations manager for a company, right? So let's say a small business and you're their operations manager. And so you manage like setting up projects and, setting up automations and setting up processes and stuff like that. You can do that whenever you want. If you decide, I'm going to go into helping companies write SOPs and set up processes and do process improvement, that's work that you can do at any time, right? If you decide that you want to go into being a program manager. So I have a program manager who, she's the one that sources all of my speakers for our masterclasses that we host every Tuesday, right? So she hosts, she sources the speakers, she makes sure they get signed up, she sets up the events. Once the event happens, she downloads it and uploads it and all that kind of stuff. That she can do that work whenever she wants to. So yes, to answer your question, absolutely, there's remote work out there. I think a lot of people are afraid to be freelancers because in their mind, freelancer sounds like instability, which you would be surprised is far from the truth. I actually did I've done a YouTube video with Hannah about virtual assistants. I did I've done a couple of YouTube videos with Hannah about virtual assistants, and I actually did one with some people that have been through her course and have successfully become virtual assistants. I think that might be a great one for you to watch because all of them talked about how they own their schedules and what time they work in. It was called Success Stories. Real life success stories of virtual assistants. And one of the questions I asked them was like, what is their schedule? And what was really cool about that whole conversation is there was one word that we kept that I felt like we kept landing on, and that was ownership. Being able to own your time, own your rates, own who you work with, own how many clients you take on, own how often you work, things like that. So Lindsay, I think that would be a great one for you to check out. It's called Success Stories And the person that's responding, A.R. Thomas, she was actually one. I think I feel like no, is it right? Were you one of the people on that session? It was a lot of information that you're still digesting it all. That's understandable. Yeah, okay. Listen, I was like, I know the name, but this avatar is throwing me. I know the name, but the avatar is throwing me. I remember you being on that session as well. So yeah, check that out. But I want you guys to know there's so many options to be remote. There's so many options out there to be remote. And yes, there are options to not be 9 to 5. When you think about work that's not really like project management, that's always going to be a 9 to 5 thing. I'm just going to be honest with you because you have to be in meetings. Like most project managers spend a good 75 to 80% of their time in meetings. If there are any project managers watching, you guys can feel free to like co-sign on that. But I've been a project manager for over 10 years. I'm not one anymore, but good Lord, I spent most of my project management life sitting in meetings. So that one's hard to do and like own your time. But things that are like work that you take away and just do on your own, instructional design, technical writing, stuff like that. Yeah, those are things you can do in your own time. Yeah, Auntie Trey, she is gonna host another one, but also, um, hopefully, I think you guys still have access to the replays of all of those. So like you can take your time and go back through those. I think that's how that works. I'm not entirely sure. Yeah, that many meetings. Project management is a lot of meetings. It's a lot of meetings. Okay, real quick, you guys feel free to drop more questions in the comments. I love to answer questions. I do want to tell you though that the Quick Commuting Conference, if you don't know what that is, it is the biggest remote work conference and job fair for job seekers. And it's action packed with thought leaders, experts, career coaches talking about all kinds of things remote work based and getting job based. It's a 3-day conference. We're hosting our third one, March 2nd through the 4th. And today is the very last day to get the best ticket at the very best price. So Premier Access tickets are 60% off through tonight only. Tomorrow they go up to $75. And then they go up to regular price, which is $150. Right now, you can get them for $60. And there's so much included in that ticket. Let me tell you what's included in that ticket right quick before I forget. Here's what's included in that ticket, Premier Access ticket. Ultimate Remote Work Guide, which is a free guide that I give. You get access to the live 3-day conference. You get access to the job fair and vendor expo. All of those things are free. Conference workbook, all those things are included in the free ticket too. So you get all the free things, but you also get one-to-one networking sessions with everybody loves. Every single conference, the feedback is amazing, but also people love the one-to-one networking. You'll also get group coaching sessions. So you'll get coaching on resume reviews, LinkedIn reviews. You'll get mock interview, job search strategy session. If you buy your ticket before the end of January, we're going to send you a gift box. We also are going to do some bonus virtual workshops. Those are going to be some surprises. And then we have an invite-only special event. That's a big deal that I want to share that I'm excited about. And then you'll get half off of the new Remote Ready bundle. So I'm actually re-releasing the Remote Ready bundle, and it's going to be like 2 times the content that's already in there. And so we're going to do half off of that. And with that, you'll get 30 days free, full access to the Quick Commuting Academy as well. So all of that for $60. I'm telling you guys, that's a lot. The conference honestly is really great. And I know I should be biased, right? It's my conference, but it's something I'm ridiculously proud of. Every single time we've done it, I walk away like I am very, very proud of this. Like we really put everything that we could into this conference, and we really delivered on what we said we would. We have had some challenges with, some technical challenge with hopping here and there with the platform here and there, which has actually gotten a lot better. But when I tell you, we put our heart into that conference, and I walk away completely full because it's just such a great conference. So let me scroll up. Because someone did ask a question. Do you have any insights on how to navigate remote job hunting for Caribbean nationals? Most of the positions I see are US based only. Yeah, I mean, I feel like I answered this question every single time we get together, right? You guys are always concerned about, are there remote jobs for me? Because I live in X country. And I'm going to tell you, yes, there are so many global companies that are looking for talent all over the world that do not give a damn where you live. Okay. So there's companies that don't care where you live. They want to hire you anyway. And I think I have a blog post that says like 15 companies that don't care where you work from. Let me find that blog post for you right quick. LibryAJones.com. Y'all, I'm doing the most. I'm also updating my blog, my website soon. Actually, it's done being updated. It just needs to go live. 15 remote first companies that don't care where you work from. That is the blog post. Let me drop you the link. There's a link to that. Do me a favor. Look at those companies, but also look at their competitors, because their competitors likely feel the same way. I want you to keep in mind that there have been remote first companies since way before the pandemic. There have been companies, Buffer's been around since forever. Remote's been around since forever. These people don't care where you work from. They actually pride themselves on being global organizations with a global workforce. So there's those companies, right? There's the companies that they pride themselves on, our people are everywhere. And they've been around again since before the pandemic. And then you have the companies that also are like, well, we hire people in different countries because we have different locations and locales. Okay. So you've got two kind of players in the field that are like, we want to hire talent all over the place. So there's one that's like, I don't care where you work from. And there's another group that's like, I want to hire people in a bunch of different places, if that makes sense. So you've got to target those companies, and you've got to make sure that you're going to the places where those companies hang out. And so We Work Remotely is a job board that is specifically for remote companies, and they have like a little filter for international. Thank you. Life should be easy. Yeah, hit the like button. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Let the people know I'm here too. Feel free to share it with your community. Actually, you know what you could do? You could go ahead and take a photo and post it on your Instagram and be like, y'all should join Libryia's YouTube lives on the last Wednesday of every month. But anyway, so WeWorkRemotely.com, I'm going to say this again, WeWorkRemotely.com is a remote job board. And one of the things I like about that job board is they actually have like these little stickers on some of these job postings that will tell you if it's international, and it will tell you if it's high paying. It will tell you if it's part-time. So that's a site. And then remote.co does that as well. I haven't played around enough with LinkedIn's filters to know if they do that. I think LinkedIn literally just this year added the remote filter. So I don't think they've gotten that deep yet. I used to talk so much junk about LinkedIn, but they have finally joined the world of remote work and added a remote filter to their searches. So I'm very proud of them. I can now make LinkedIn one of the resources that we use for remote work. Most of the positions I see, yeah. Thank you. Someone said last year's conference was amazing. I agree. I mean, obviously I agree, but the feedback has been amazing. We do a feedback survey right after the conference, and our average rating was like, I think 4.9 out of 5 stars. So I think the people have spoken. Is there an upgrade if you already own the Remote Ready bundle when buying the Premier Quick Commuting Conference? No. So what I suggest that you do, because the package is the package, right? If you already have the Remote Ready bundle, so this is giving you an option to get the upgraded Remote Ready bundle for half off. So it's a different Remote Ready bundle. But if you can't use something that's in the package, just give it to somebody else. You can gift it to someone else. So when you get that email that says, hey, here's your discount code, just send it to a friend. Because the package is the package. And we're not going to break it up and say, oh, well, if you don't need this part of the package, we'll create something else. We're just not there. We're not equipped to do that. So if there's something in the package that you don't need, Feel free to share that with a friend. What platform did you use to create your remote ready bundle class? The current one was a platform called Podia, Podia. Are you thinking about doing a class? Life should be easy. Let me know. Which is a great option. Like if you guys have some knowledge that you feel like you could package for other people, creating a course is a really great way to, work remotely as well. I actually did a one-to-one session with a young lady. She was looking to work remotely, and she came into the session expecting me to tell her where to get a remote job in her field. And I was like, baby, you need to create a course, because she had a very specific knowledge. And what she does it for nonprofit, like government agencies, but it's such a specific knowledge area, and it's so helpful. And I think it was dealing with new moms. I was like, honey, you need to create a course. You seriously need to create a course and package that thing and sell it. Real talk. Like, there's some of you need to package your knowledge. People want it. People want to learn from you. People want to know what you know. And so creating a course is a great, great option. Having trouble with the code to purchase reduced ticket price. You have to tell me what trouble you're having with it. Real investors, if you could let me know what trouble you're having with the code, that might be helpful. Somebody else said the conference was truly amazing. Yay, thank you. I may want to create a course for interviewing skills in the future. I think that's an excellent idea. Interviewing skills, I mean, interviews is something people have a lot of trouble with. And there is, in the updated remote ready bundle, there's I've added more videos to that section for that reason, because it's something that's so intimidating to people. I actually beefed up the guide that I have, because the current remote ready bundle has like a little interview guide. I actually beefed up that guide too. And I added I think I added maybe 3 more videos to that interviewing section, because it's something that people have challenges with. So I absolutely suggest you do that. I think that's a great idea. I wonder if the promo code is expired. Oh, you know what? We set it to expire at a certain time. And I wonder if it's the time that it's like hop-in time. Like, I think that company is an Australian-based company. Let me check that. I'm going to check that live while we're here. Thanks for letting me know. Thanks for breaking that down for me. Let me log in and see if I can fix that, because I think it's set to expire at a certain time. And I wonder if that time is, our time versus Australia time. So I got my card ready. Hold on. I got you, friend. I got you. Let me fix this right now. That's the Southern Libryia coming out. Like, I'm from the South. It says it expires November 30th, which is today. Oh, it's set. Y'all, I don't know who set this, but it's set for 7 p.m. That's why. Let me change this. It expired like an hour ago, depending on where you are. All right. I wonder how many people that happened to. How many sales have we lost because I didn't know this? Ugh. All right. So I have updated that. Try it again. Let me know if it doesn't work. I'm here for you. Let me know if it doesn't work. I have updated that. If you are watching this after Wednesday, we will also have an early bird sale as well, where tickets will be half off, I think. Yeah, I think tickets are going to be half off starting tomorrow. Yay. I'm so glad it worked. Thank you for letting me know that it wasn't working. It's working now. Grab your tickets. What other questions y'all got? We got 20 more minutes. If you have any other questions. my brain is in creative mode and I have so many ideas now. Creating a course sounds great. I need to brain dump. So Auntie Trey, we have gone from you wanting to do virtual assistant work. You got overwhelmed with that class and you said something else. And now we're talking about creating a course. I need you not to overwhelm yourself with options. Okay. I think options are great. So what you should do is write down all of the things that you'd be interested in doing, and you've got to decide what to try first. Okay. Because what's going to happen is you're going to be so, what I want to avoid is you get in a place where you've got so many options that you're not moving forward on anything. Okay. So please don't get so bogged down in all of the options that you are not doing anything. You're not taking any of the options, right? So sure, sit down, do a brain dump, get it out of your head, write down these things, but then you've got to decide what to try first. Because the other thing that people have a challenge with is it's tough to make a decision because you start thinking, well, what if this doesn't work? Well, it might not. The truth is it might not work. But the good thing is that you don't have to make a decision today for 10 years from now. You get to say, what would I like to try first? I'm going to tell you guys that Quit Commuting, what I'm doing now, the Quit Commuting Conference, the Quit Commuting Academy, the Quit Commuting, the Remote Ready Bundle, this is not my first attempt, right? My first business was, oh my God, what was my first business? I was going to do an online marketplace for curly girls. This was back in 2005, 6. I think this might have been 2006, 2007, maybe even 2008. So before there was one marketplace where you could buy natural hair products, I was going to create a natural hair product marketplace, and I was going to layer it with a community like Facebook. So that, because I went natural in like 2000, a long, long time ago. And the only place to get natural hair advice was like these forums. So it's kind of like Facebook, but it was like a forum, like a chat room, like an old school chat room, if you will. It was the only place to get natural hair advice. And so many of us were so lost. And so I wanted to create a marketplace where you could actually buy Black hair, because at the time, like only Black people were making Black hair products, right? For natural people. Fatki, yes, it was like that. Fatki, the one that I was part was natural, something like that. But anyway, I was going to do natural health services and layer it with a community like Facebook, so that if I talked about a product that worked for me, you could click a link and go buy it. Right. So that was my first attempt at business. That didn't work out. And then I went into, what did I go into after that? I went into something else. And then I did the year abroad, my Wander year. I launched a whole year abroad. I have not revisited that. And this is like attempt number 4. So you don't have to make a decision today for the version of you that's 10 years from now. You just need to decide what you want to try first. And if it doesn't work, do something else. You don't have to make a decision today like, what if it doesn't work? What if it does? Hell, what if it does? Also, it might not work. It's possible it won't, right? So get this stuff out of your head. Don't get so bogged down on all of these options that you take no action. You need to take action. Nothing is going to change for you thinking about what I could do. Like, you don't get credit for that. I'm sorry. Life does not give you credit for thinking about what could I do, right? You got to actually take action, and don't get stuck thinking, I don't know which one to pick because I don't know which one is going to work. What would I like to try first? Like, what feasibly can I try first? What makes sense to try first? And if that works out, that works out. If it doesn't, we'll do something else. Okay. I'd like to offer voiceover services, but I don't know where to start. Ooh, fun fact. I have a friend who does voiceover services. And I was just today thinking about inviting her to the conference and to do a thing at the Quit Commuting Academy. Because at the conference, we usually do a panel on unconventional ways to work remotely, like things people would never think of. And I would love to have her on the panel. Here's the other fun fact. She literally just posted maybe an hour ago on Facebook, a clip from some amazing voiceover works that she did for World of Warcraft. So there is a black female character in World of Warcraft now, and she is the voiceover for it. And I'm just floored. I'm so amazed. She's been doing voiceover work for a few years now, and she's really, really, really good. And this is exciting because we don't get to see ourselves on video games, right? Like that's just not what we really get to see. And not only do, beautiful Black girl gamers get to see themselves, but they get to hear themselves, which is super amazing. So that said, I'm going to have to do something with her. I actually was just thinking about this tonight before I got here because she posted earlier. And so she does a lot of commercial work. She does a lot of voice acting. And I think she also does audiobooks as well. And so I'd say thing one, like, just do a search. I mean, YouTube is right here. You're right here on YouTube. Do a search, getting started in voice acting, and see what people have to say about that. Like, there's opportunities out there for sure. Any advice on how to redo my resume, my work experience as a chef and in culinary instructor? So I don't know how to reconfigure to apply for more traditional roles. I'm having this weird pain in my neck right now. It's so strange. So my recommendation to you, Lindsay, number one, is to, when you say more traditional roles, what roles are we talking about, right? Because the question is pretty broad. So I'd say, figure out what roles you're trying to apply for. So if you've got, even if it's more than one type of role, if you've got two primary things that you want to apply for. So for instance, there was a time where I would apply for project manager jobs and customer service jobs. And there's two different resumes, right? Because customer service and project management are not the same thing. And so what I would suggest you do is come up with 1 to 2 primary things that you want to apply for. Find 3 to 5 positions in those roles, 3 to 5 positions in those roles, and go through each of those positions. So when you find, let's say that you want to apply for a virtual assistant role or something like that, or customer service role, find 3 to 5 positions that you would be interested in. Like, oh, I like these positions. I would apply for this. If I felt confident, I would apply for this, or I feel like I'm a fit for this. Go ahead and look at those. And I want you to open up a document, a Word doc or a Google Doc. And I want you to make 2 lists. The first list is things I have, right? And so as you go through all of those positions, I want you to highlight the things that they are asking for in roles and responsibilities, in qualifications, in who they're looking for, in their must-haves, nice-to-haves, and all of that. I want you to take those things that you do have in your background, okay? And I want you to put that in the things I have column. And then the things I don't have, second column, I want you to do things I don't have. And anything in the roles and responsibilities or in the qualifications that you don't have, I want you to put that in that other list. And this is going to do 2 things for you. One, it's going to help your self-efficacy, because a lot of people think, oh, I'm not qualified for these things. You're going to find out that you are actually more qualified than you thought. Okay? That is what you're going to find out. The second thing you're going to do is now you can start talking about your qualifications the same way that they talk about them, right? Because you're trying to figure out, well, how do I talk about these skills? I know I have transferable skills, but how do I talk about them? Well, you're identifying transferable skills by doing this exercise. And now you know exactly how to talk about them because that's how they talked about them. The other thing that it's going to do is that list of things you don't have, that does not become the beat myself up, I'm not good enough list. That becomes the development plan. Right? So that becomes you know what? How do I get even better in this position, in this role? Let me figure out how I can get some of these things. Is it taking a certification course? Is it like taking a class on Udemy or Coursera or something like that? Is it volunteering for taking the initiative for a project at work so that I can get these skills? Is it doing some research? Is it reading a book? So the things that you don't have become your development plan. And those things should not keep you from applying. Those things should be the path to getting even better and getting promotions and getting even higher roles in this field. Okay. And I think for you specifically, because you're moving out of such a very hands-on role into trying to move into quote unquote more traditional role, whatever that means, friend. What I think you should do is actually take those positions in that research that you've done to a resume writer and give them that starting point to go ahead and write your resume on your behalf. Resume Addict is amazing. She's a really, really great resume writer. Chelsea, and her name is Charnay, but she's at Resume Addict on Instagram. Chelsea Opar Ado is Not Your Mother's Resume on Instagram as well. And she also is our resident career expert in the Quick Commuting Academy as well. She does a resume review every first Monday of the month with our full access community, but she's amazing too. So that's Resume Addict and Not Your Mother's Resume. Those are two resume writers that I think are amazing, and you can find them on Instagram. I feel like that was a really long answer to your question, Lindsay. Any plans to lead another year abroad? Hell no. Yeah, no, I'm definitely not leading that again. I had a great time. I love the people that I finished the year with. We're still super, super, super tight. I don't want to do that again. I'm too old for that. It was a lot of work. It's the hardest thing I've ever done. Honestly, it's hands down the hardest thing I've ever done. I put it to people like this. Imagine being with your customers every day for a year. Imagine being at work every single day for a whole year. Like, seriously, I was at work every day for 365 days. That is crazy. That is bananas. So I won't do that again, but I will be doing some workations where I'm helping people, I'm setting people up or groups up to be, to work remotely in different countries for 1 month at a time. So I will be doing that next year in 2023. The job market is so tough right now. How do you stay motivated when applying for jobs? That's a great question, Emirio. And I don't want to take away from the fact that the job market is tough, because it is, right? We're entering a recession, and we are in the time period where companies naturally start laying people off. So around November through February is where layoffs typically happen. September is huge hiring. March, April, huge hiring. And layoffs typically happen between November and February. That's typically around the time that companies start doing layoffs. It's weird right now because two things are happening, right? We're going into a recession, so layoffs are happening as a result of that. But layoffs are also happening because companies are feeling the consequences of overhiring for the pandemic growth, right? So some companies really, really grew fast during the pandemic, and that wasn't normal growth, but they hired for that abnormal growth, and now they're having to right size, right? So we're in a weird place where layoffs are normal this time of year, but also, it's abnormal because of a recession and having to correct some decisions that companies made during the pandemic, during quarantine, I should say, because I don't know if we're not in a pandemic anymore. I have no idea. So yes, the job market is tough, and I won't pretend like it's not. It is still tough. But what I want to continue to encourage people about is, while the job market has slowed down, it's not gone. So we went from having, I think, around 10 or 11 million open jobs earlier this year to probably having 40% of that or something like that, right? So now we're talking about 4 to 5 million. That's still more than enough jobs for you to get a job. You know what I'm saying? So I don't think, I can't say that the only reason people are unmotivated is because of the job market, because there still are a lot of jobs out there. I think job searching is demoralizing. It's a demoralizing process, period. And it's tough to stay motivated applying for jobs over and over again, even when it is a good market, even when it was 10 million jobs out there, right? Even when we were at the height of the Great Resignation, it was still tough because you're competing with so many people. So I'm not going to say it's because the job market is tough. I'm going to say because looking for a job is tough. It's not fun. It's often an isolated sport, because it's not like you and your buddy go do this together. Like, hey, let's go apply for jobs together, right? Which is why we have the Quick Commuting Academy, because we wanted this to not be so isolating, right? We wanted you to be around other people that are looking for this, that are doing this, that are in the trenches and out here looking for jobs. The other reason why it's a challenging, it's something you do on your own, it's isolated, and also who wants to deal with rejection and being ghosted over and over again? And it's part of the process, unfortunately. It takes, on average, 90 days to 6 months now these days to land a job. And that's not a remote job. That is a job, period. It's always been that. That's not a statistic that's specific to remote jobs. And so one thing I will absolutely never do, and if you've heard me talk, say amen in the comments. If you've heard me say this before, one thing I will never do is pretend like it's easy to find jobs. It's a challenging process. It can be easy sometimes and it can be hard. And when it's hard, it's demoralizing. It can be painful. It can be hurtful. Like, it can be very, very challenging. And you guys will never hear me pretend like it's not hard to do. I will never pretend like that. I've been unemployed 3 times in my life. I have been unemployed. I've been fired. I've been laid off. I think I've been unemployed 3 or 4 times my whole life. And so I know that this is not easy, right? And so what I'm going to say to you, when you find yourself feeling demoralized or feeling uninspired or unmotivated, thing one, take a break. It is okay to take a break. If you feel like you're getting to the point where your mental health is at stake, you're half-assing your applications, like you're not even answering all their questions, or you're like giving them one-liners and you're not really putting any effort into it, that is the clear indication that it's time for you to take a break. It is okay to take a break. It absolutely is okay to take a break. The only thing that I want you to do, if you're going to take a break, is put a date that you're going to come back to it. So say I'm going to take a break for a week, 2 weeks tops, right? And then come back to it. Put it on your calendar. Make a commitment to yourself to come back to it. The next thing that I want you to do, if you are feeling uninspired or demoralized, if you find yourself, in challenging positions, is, first take a break. The second thing I want you to do is be honest about how much you're doing. A lot of people say, I've been applying for a lot of jobs. And when we talk about how much you're actually applying for, it might be 5 jobs in a week. And that's not a lot. So set yourself a quota. Set a quota for yourself and then hold yourself accountable to that. And don't let it be anecdotal. Actually track it. Actually sit down and track, how many jobs have I applied for today, tomorrow, this week, this month? Because a lot of times we can sit down and search for jobs. Like, we'll take 30 minutes to search for jobs and we'll apply for one here, apply for one here, apply for one there. And it's such a sucky situation. Like, no one enjoys doing it, right? It's such a energy suck and a time suck that we feel like we've done a lot. But feelings are not facts, y'all. Feelings are not facts. And so anecdotally, you'd say, I've been applying for jobs, but if you actually counted the number of jobs you've applied for, it's not that much. And so the next thing I'd say for you to do is set a quota and measure. Actually measure. Don't go off your feelings, because again, feelings are not facts. I want you to track, how many are you applying for? If it's anything less than it, what do you guys say? Martisha, what would you say? 10 a week? I was crazy because I would apply for 10 jobs a day. Like, I was out here work because I was unemployed, single mom. I didn't have any savings. I was like, I need to get a job. I'd say 10 a week at least, but 5 a week is not a lot, in my opinion. 5 a week is not a lot, in my opinion. But regardless of what is a lot to you, I want you to hold yourself accountable to that number and not just say, I've been applying for a lot of jobs, because you feel like you have. Feelings are not facts, folks. So I want you to track that. The other thing that I want you to do is set aside time for this. Don't just do it willy-nilly here and there, because you might do it one day, 1 week, and then not do it for 2 weeks. Set aside some time for this. Say, every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, I'm going to spend 30 minutes looking for jobs. Set up your system. And then the last thing I would say is you have to employ some patience, because this is a process that takes a while. It can take anywhere from 90 days to 6 months to find and land a job. So again, Amirio, my heart goes out to you, because it's not fun. It's not an enjoyable experience. I wish it was easier, and I really wish that the process took more into account the human aspect of what job seekers are going through, right? I wish that we took the care. I wish that people took the care to, if you're rejected, saying that and giving you feedback versus just ghosting you. I wish that when you hit the submit button, you get some feedback. Sometimes you apply for it, you don't even remember if you apply for the job because you never get anything. You never get anything. You never even get the whole, like, we decided to go in a different direction, you know? And so, I wish the process was better for job seekers. I really wish. I really wish it was. I feel guilty at times. I already work remotely, like the job, and my job is so sweet. I'm very blessed, but they will not allow us to work from anywhere, which is crazy. I want to leave the US now. What is there to feel guilty about? I'm very confused about your statement, Auntie Trey. There's nothing to feel guilty about. I mean, you love your job, and right? I love my job and I want something that gives me more freedom. Those two things can coexist. Two things can be true, and you don't have to feel guilty about that. That's like, I love my body and I would like to be more slim and muscular, and I don't have to feel guilty about that. You know what I'm saying? There's no reason to feel guilty. Love your job, do your job, keep doing your job. And if you happen to find an opportunity that gives you more of what you want, take that opportunity. And what I'm going to tell you to do is, if you find that opportunity and you take that opportunity, make sure you leave your current job on great terms, because you may be able to come back to it if you need to. That's what I did. I loved my job. My job that I had before I left the country, before I left to go work for a remote company that allowed me to travel, I loved my job. The one thing I didn't love about my job is they wouldn't let me go work out of the country. We had an office in Europe, and I wanted to go work at the office in Europe. And I told them that in my interview, and they didn't let me do it. And I wanted to travel. And so I took a job that allowed me to do that. And I had that conversation with my company. I was like, listen, I love it here, and I didn't want to leave, but I have this goal. I have this desire. This is something that I really want to do. And so I'm going to go pursue this opportunity. But I want you to know, like, I'm leaving with a whole lot of appreciation for what I've done here. And, if circumstances change, I would love to come back. And when I came back to the US, they offered me another job. So no need to feel guilty. It's an and. It's not an or, it's not a but. It's an and. I love my job and I would like different opportunities. So you don't have to feel guilty about that. Can you give a quick baseline of how you went about editing your resume so quickly to submit 10 or more a day? Yeah. Well, I mean, if Auntie Trey, she said, I feel guilty that these young folks want and need a job and already have a decent job and trying to get a better one. A, what they're doing has nothing to do with you. So there's no need to feel guilty. And B, if you find another job, you just opened up a position for somebody else to take. So there's no need for you to feel guilty about that. That's like me feeling guilty that I get to eat and there's homeless people out there, right? Like, I can do what I can to help out homeless folks, right? I actually, what's funny is I actually ride around in my car with snacks to give out to homeless people. But do you feel guilty every time you eat dinner? No. You don't feel guilty every time you eat dinner, right? Because you went out, you've done the things that you needed to do, right? And so you applied for this job, you got this job, you can still want another job, right? I mean, I think it's a wonderful thing to have empathy for other people's situation, but you don't have to feel bad about yours to feel empathy for other people, if that makes sense, right? So you don't have to put guilt on yourself to feel empathy for other people, if that makes sense. Like, I can have empathy for, other people and still enjoy what I have as well, if that makes sense. I hope that makes sense. I don't want you feeling guilty for wanting something else. You can still want more. You can still absolutely want more. And you'd be opening up an opportunity for somebody else. You're right. Exactly. Like, I don't feel like guilt in this situation is a helpful emotion. It's not helpful to you to feel guilty about this. And you can be happy with your situation and want more in your situation and still have empathy for people that are looking for jobs. I absolutely have a whole lot of empathy for people that are looking for jobs. I have a whole lot of empathy for people who need to make more. I'm still going to ask for a raise. Absolutely. All right. So I was going to answer this question. Can you give a quick baseline on how you went about editing your resume so quickly to apply to 10 more a day? Yes, I can quickly do this. So I don't know if you were listening earlier, but I talked about building a resume template based on profiles. So if you have a templated resume that you've built based on your understanding of an industry. So as a project manager, there are going to be some things that are typically in project management resumes. I'm sorry, in project management job postings. So what I do is I build a profile, I build a template resume based on 3 to 5 project management positions that I'm interested in. Right. So I take those 3 to 5 positions and I look through those positions and I see what's similar about all of these, right? What are all of these asking for? And those are the things that I'm going to put in my resume. So if I do that and I make a templated resume based on that, then it's very likely that I won't need to tweak my resume because I'm talking about project management the way most people talk about project management. So there's that. That's thing one. Thing two is I'm not spending a ton of time tweaking my resume. I'm looking through a job posting and I'm saying, are there things in this job posting that I don't have in my resume? So is there anything that they mention multiple times that I need in my resume? So for instance, if I'm talking about project management, I may call out that I manage project teams, that I manage project budgets, that I manage project timelines, and that I solve problems and manage risks, right? And I may stumble across a job posting that says multiple times they want someone client facing that knows how to set expectations. Boom, I can drop a bullet point in my resume that says that really quickly. That takes me a good 2 minutes. So we're not talking about rewriting your resume for job postings. You should be starting with a good template, and your good template should be so good that it covers 80 to 90% of what you're going to see in a job posting. Really, you're just going through this to make sure that there's not something that's important to this specific company that I don't already have in my resume. And this specific company might be a consulting company. And so this is not an in-house project manager. I'm not a project manager for Home Depot working with other Home Depot people. I'm a project manager for a consulting company that's going to work with different clients. And so they care that I have client-facing experience. So I'm going to put that in my resume. Okay. So updating your resume for job postings should not take you more than 3 to 5 minutes. Like it should not take a long time. If it does, then you need to rethink your template. Okay. So that's thing one. Thing two, there is a tool called JobScan. Let me put this in here, jobscan.co. Jobscan.co makes this a whole lot faster. Now I'm going to tell you, they give you 3 free scans a month. So you may want to use it for the ones you really care about, right? Or you can pay for it and get more. Unlimited scans, I think. And what it does is you can actually post your resume and paste the job posting, and it's going to give you a percent match and tell you what keywords you're missing as well. Okay. It's not perfect, but it's a good indicator. Like, what are the keywords that you're missing? And it'll tell you the job posting said this 6 times and your resume doesn't have it at all. Or it'll say the job posting said it 6 times and your resume only says it once, right? And so that's a really quick way to get that information really fast. Updating your resume for a job posting, I know everybody tells you to do that, right? I've even told you to do that. And I think we didn't do a great job of clarifying what we meant by that when we all shared this, us career experts out here. And so I want to clarify by saying, if it takes you more than like 3 to 5 minutes, then you need to rethink your template. We're not talking about rewriting your resume. We're talking about going through the job posting and saying, am I missing anything that they care about here? Because if they mention setting client expectations 3 or 4 times, this is important to them. And it's not in my resume, but I've done it. I set client expectations. I'm a client-facing project manager. That is what I do. And I didn't mention it in my resume, and it's important to them. So let me go add that bullet point. That literally will take me probably, again, 1 minute to do. and then proofread. So I hope that clarified that as well. I know we always say tweak your resume, tweak your resume. We ain't talking about rewrite your resume now. That ain't what we're saying, y'all. Don't rewrite your resume for every job posting. If you're doing that, then let's rethink the template, okay? And rethinking the template goes back to what I said earlier. Take 3 to 5 job postings, look through what are they saying in those 3 to 5 job postings, and build your template based on the commonalities that you're seeing across those positions, because now you understand how they talk about those positions, okay? Yeah, no, Candace, thanks for asking that question, because this is a piece of advice that we share often, but we don't really go into that detail about, like, what do we mean by that, right? So it can sound like rewrite your resume every time. Nobody wants to do that. Nobody wants to do that. All right. Yeah, please don't rewrite your resume. If you guys are rewriting your resume, then I say let's tap in an expert. And to the person that said they feel like they're demoralizing, one of the things I need to go back to that I left off, if you find out, I gotta go because we've been on here for over an hour. But if you feel like you are demoralized and demotivated, this is back to Amirio's question earlier about being unmotivated in the process, or stuck or struggling in the process. One of the things I forgot to mention that I always do when we talk about this is assess where the bottlenecks are in the process and decide if it's time to call in an expert. Okay. So decide if it's time to call in an expert. So if you find that you're applying for jobs and you're not getting invited to interviews, then maybe it's time to get someone to update your resume and your LinkedIn. Right? Get someone professionally to update. If you are applying for a lot of jobs, and this is not feelings, because feelings are not facts. This is you've actually, tracked this, and you are applying for a lot of jobs and you're just not getting called for interviews, then maybe it's time to reach out to an expert to say, hey, can you update my resume? I'd also implore you to have someone update your LinkedIn, because ideally people are coming to you for jobs, not just you applying, right? Ideally, recruiters are in your inbox like, hey, I need you. I see your LinkedIn and it's fly. You know what I'm saying? LinkedIn is popping. I need you. I need you on my team, right? So have an expert update your resume and your LinkedIn if you feel like that's what's happening. If you say, well, no, I have been getting interviews. I've actually been getting asked for interviews. I just don't get the job beyond that. Then maybe you need to work with an interview coach. And I happen to know one. Her name is Jenna Mulheron. And she is at Own the Interview. Her website is owntheinterview.com. And she does interview coaching. I actually know a few other people. I always go to her, but I need to I think I'm going to do a blog post or a video with some interview coaches and share that. But if you find yourself blocked in that part of the process, then call in an expert for that part of the process, okay? So if you find yourself feeling stuck and feeling unmotivated, step back and assess the process and say, hey, where am I stuck at in the process? And is there a expert that can help me get unstuck at this point? Okay. So that's something else. I meant to mention that, Amirio. Sorry about that. I don't know if you're still here. Yes, the dates for the Quit Commuting Conference are March 2nd through the 4th. And as Lindsay said, thank you, Lindsay. Today is the last day to get the 60% discount. Cover letters. Girl, I don't even have time. I gotta go. It's been an hour and 10 minutes. But cover letters, same thing, right? They should speak to the position that you're applying for. And honestly, for me, I only think cover letters are necessary if you aren't a clear fit for a role, right? You aren't a check the box fit for a role, and you want to explain why you're a fit, right? So if I can't go to the qualifications and start checking boxes, and again, you don't have to meet every qualification, but if it seems like it's a stretch role for you, then a cover letter can help you explain and add color to why you are a good fit based on some other skills and experience that you have that they may not have included in the job posting. Okay. So that's what cover letters are good for. If they are required, or if you need to add color to why you're a great fit based on some skills and experience you have that weren't in the job posting, right? So that's you trying to sell yourself. And yes, it should be related to the position that you're applying for sure. This live is not at the same time each week. So I do this monthly for the general public. I do this weekly for the Quick Commuting Academy full access members. And what that means is the Quick Commuting Academy is actually free to join. So anybody can be in my community, in my, like private community. But there is a subscription also. There's a subscription option that's $24.99. And for that, you also get a weekly masterclass every Tuesday night. You get a weekly Q&A session with me every Wednesday night, and you get monthly coaching sessions. So someone will review your resume if you need them to. Martisha will do a job search strategy session with you. And here pretty soon, we'll be having someone once a month reviewing folks' LinkedIn. And so that's $24.99 a month, and you can cancel that at any time. So if you want to hang out with me every week, that is the way to do it. That said, you guys have been amazing. This has been a great conversation. I feel like I preached a couple times. I didn't mean to preach on y'all. My bad, y'all. But this was really cool. It's cool to hang out with you guys. You all asked some excellent questions. You always do. You guys always ask excellent questions. Do me a favor, hit the subscribe button, because I'm going to have a lot more content coming out here pretty soon. So we'll be talking a lot about planning for 2023. We'll be doing a lot more sessions around some of the things that you guys asked about. I'll be sharing some content around those things. And I'm going to do a lot more travel and workation content too in 2023. And I might start doing some lives. Like I have this idea to do like an interview hot seat with a few recruiters where like we just sit here and you guys ask us interview questions and we like answer them as if we were an interview. I think that would be super fun. And that'd be a great way to introduce you guys to some interview coaches as well. All right. That said, thanks for hanging out. Have a great night. If you are in the Quick Commuting Academy, I will see you next Wednesday. If you're not, I'll see you here the last Monday of December. December. Y'all have a great one. Good night, everybody.